incredibly busy you are with crucial matters. And so you being here means so much. Thank you very much.
No, of course. Thank you so much. And thank you for your activism and for everything that you've done to pitch in and make sure that our movement not only sustains, but grows. So thank you, Jane.
So how are you?
I'm well. I think, it's such a complicated question to ask in this moment.
Well, I mean, you're being attacked by the president. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I consider it a little badge of honor. If the worst and most authoritarian, borderline, or probably actually fascistic president in modern history considers me public enemy number one, then I think that's a good thing. I think I'm doing a great job.
You always have the best comebacks. It's not Alexandria +3, it's Alexandria +115. Oh, you're great.
Oh, thank you.
Listen, just a few days ago, over 400 people tuned in to watch you play a video game and talk about voting on the social media streaming site Twitch. Do you think that things like that can inspire new audiences to get involved?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think when it's done authentically, it's absolutely so critical that we do this, because I can't tell you how often, I'll be talking to my colleagues in Congress, I'll be talking to other elected officials, and I'm talking about policy that young people care about. And the answer is, young people don't vote. So why should we do anything for an electorate that is unreliable and doesn't turn out? And, it's kind of this cyclical thing, because the reason young people aren't really passionate or supportive of a lot of elected officials is because a lot of elected officials do nothing to address substantively the real material cares that a young electorate is passionate about, whether it's ending our endless wars, whether it's actually solving our student loan debt crisis, whether it's addressing climate change. I believe that it is an elected official's job to reach out first and to not just legislate for whoever votes for them. Yeah. And so, a lot of people said, oh, she's wasting her time by being on a channel that young people are largely on. But guess what? We registered thousands of people to vote in the 3 hours that we were streaming, and thousands more, quite likely, in the time that people have been watching the replay since. And so, and for a person's first experience with an elected official to be a positive one and not lame, I think is important.
I think that the Green New Deal is going to bring a lot of young people to the polls. Mm-hmm. I can't believe how it resonates with mm-hmm. young people and gives them hope. And, in my opening, I spoke about how I've come to understand why the Green New Deal centers justice the way it does, but I'd like you to talk about it. Can you explain why you feel it's critical, as opposed to a resolution that calls just for moving away from fossil fuels to a green, sustainable energy sector?
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of you really kind of offering that testimony about your journey in your thinking on this, because I think a lot of people had a similar reaction, and it's so beautiful to hear how people come to these realizations on why this is so important. So I heard the same thing. I've heard a lot of people, environmental leaders too, say, listen, the climate stuff is great, the energy transition is wonderful, but why do we need to talk about racial inequity in this bill? Why does that all have to be in the same bill? Why do we need to talk about the needs of Native communities in the same bill as transitioning our energy sector? And the reason for that is that whether it is explicitly written into legislation or not explicitly written into legislation, every bill around energy, bad or good, has impacts and has an implicit discussion about justice, even if there's nothing justice related written into it. And so when we talk about climate change, when we talk about energy transitions, when we talk about jobs, et cetera, there are communities that are more disparately impacted than others. When we talk about even the transition away from fossil fuels and coal and oil and gas towards battery development, wind, solar, and other new technologies. Those are real communities with real economies. We've seen this in Appalachia, the devastation of what has happened with the coal industry. And so if we don't consciously write in plans and protections for the people who are most likely to be impacted, then we are actively legislating injustice. And so climate legislation with justice at the core develops the plan, it addresses the policy, and it makes sure that no person is left behind. And you also, you spoke to this as well. It's not just that it's the right thing to do, but that it's the politically smart thing to do. I ran for office. I'm competitive. I want to win. I don't just want us to be right. I don't just want us to be on the right side of history. I want us to win on the climate issue. And the way that we win by the climate issue is by writing legislation that puts together a winning political coalition. Now, there's a certain segment of people that just care about the science and are very passionate about climate change based on the science. Wonderful. Those are people who will support legislation that will just clean transition us over to energy. But as we know, that hasn't really been winning. We've been trying legislation that's just clean, that's just energy transition for a long time. It hasn't worked because your everyday person doesn't really connect. That doesn't resonate with them politically. They have more pressing needs. So when we actually make legislation that addresses people's livelihoods, that says not only are we going to transition to a cleaner energy, but we're going to give you a better job in the process, and we are going to create millions of not just any jobs, but good jobs with healthcare and living wages in the process, then we start getting somewhere. When we start addressing inequality and Black and brown communities that are disproportionately polluted on, and we say, we're going to clean your air, we're going to create millions of jobs replacing all the pipes in Flint, Michigan, so that Black communities and low-income communities can actually drink clean water again. And again, we're going to create thousands of jobs in the process. We're going to rebuild all the public housing stock in the United States of America to be clean, to transition even the appliances to clean energy. And we're going to create thousands of jobs for low and middle class people in the process. That is a winning political coalition. That is winning policy. And for all, that you were talking about, with the crazy lobbying job that the fossil fuel industry has pumped into the Green New Deal, that Republicans have put into the Green New Deal, you know what? It's still politically popular. It is still popular among a majority of registered voters in the United States of America. And so I just think it's so important that we as Democrats and we as anybody who cares about this issue to not shy away, don't blink, don't back down from this fight, because when it comes to us and climate deniers, we will win politically and we will win on the policy.
Woo! Yes. Oh, I love you so much. Listen,
I love you too,
I saw you.